Hey you, thanks for stopping by. The day's done, so let's settle in and make ourselves comfortable. I brought a few stories to share. The grate near the loading dock. Metal bars spaced evenly, a little wider than the others. It sits flush with the pavement, not loud, not raised, sometimes dry, sometimes damp. Dust gathers there. Occasionally a wrapper folds into it and stays. It holds nothing in place, but the rest of things nearby, out of habit. The step that doesn't quite match the others. 3 wooden steps lead to the porch. The top one is a little wider, or maybe the cut was just a little off. The wood grain runs the same direction, but the lines are looser, softer. The nails are farther apart. It holds weight fine, doesn't shift, doesn't creak more than the others, but it isn't the same. It was added later, or replaced. The difference isn't obvious, but it's always there. Rain beats differently across the surface. It dries slower. The edge catches light in a way the others don't. No one mentions it. No one looks long enough. It leads to the same door, same threshold, same porch. But that step has always felt like its own piece. It still fits. It just doesn't belong in the same way. The empty trough by the fence. Long and low. The paint has worn away on the sides. Inside, the surface is smoother from years of use, but now it's empty. No grain, no hay, just some straw blown in from nearby. The trough isn't broken, it's just not full. It sits close to the fence, parallel to the posts. Nothing leans on it, no animals crowd it. The bolts are still tight. The corners haven't rusted through. One end rests on a rock that's been there long enough to keep things level. Grass tries to grow underneath, but not very well. Sometimes the wind moves across it, sometimes it doesn't. The trough doesn't do much anymore, but it doesn't need to, and it doesn't leave. The door that was painted shut. It has a handle, hinges, a full frame, but the paint filled the gaps long ago. The trim blends evenly now. No draft, no squeak, just a rectangle that never opens. The wood behind is solid or hollow. Doesn't matter. No one tries to turn the knob. It still exists, but not as a door. The wall treats it like a part of itself, and that is just fine. The board covering the window in the barn. One nail is crooked. The board itself is weathered, but not broken. It doesn't seal perfectly, just enough. Light passes through at the corners. Dust rests along the edge where it meets the frame. The window behind it is glass, but you can't see it or reach it. The board isn't meant to stay, but it hasn't been moved in years. The parking space with the faintest number. Painted long ago, the number barely shows. Most of the lines are gone, but there's enough left to count. 1 or maybe 2. No one parks there on purpose. There's no sign, no label, just a quiet rectangle on cracked pavement. It belongs to something, or once did. Now it just sits between spaces with brighter stripes, always available, but never taken. The vent that only opens in winter. It's small, square, and set near the base of the wall. The flap doesn't move often. In warm months, it stays shut. Paint peels around the edges. The metal stays dull. Sometimes a breeze moves near it, but the flap doesn't lift. not until it's cold. Then it clicks once and opens, just barely. It was made for that, and still does it, quietly. The drawer that never closes all the way. It stops just short, not from anything inside, just the way it fits. Every time it's pushed, it returns to the same place, slightly open, not enough to be a problem, not enough to fix. The face sits flush on one side, not the other. The handle doesn't rattle, it's just how it is. The drawer works, but it just doesn't finish. The gate at the end of the gravel road. It doesn't block the road, just marks it. 2 posts, 1 bar across, chain loosely looped, but never fastened. The latch still works, but no one uses it. The gravel stops just after. The ground changes. The gate doesn't swing, it holds its shape. The bar is cold, the posts lean. It hasn't fallen, so it stays. The stain that matches nothing. Near the edge of the floorboards, close to the vent, the color is uneven, round, not quite gray. It doesn't match the wood or the carpet. It isn't sticky, it isn't new. It doesn't fade in the sunlight. It doesn't change in the shade. No one steps on it directly. They just move around it without thinking. The field where nothing is planted anymore. It's fenced, flat. The soil isn't hard, but no crops grow there. Not this season, maybe not the last few. Grass shows up, but not fully. The ground waits without asking for anything. The wind crosses in straight lines. No tools touch it, no boots, no water, just earth. Not resting, just unneeded. The nail in the cabin wall that's not holding anything. It's just above eye level, between 2 boards, not centered, not bent, a clean nail with a flat head, driven in with care, but now forgotten. There's no hook, no string, nothing hanging, just the nail. The wood around it has darkened slightly, but the metal stays bright. It hasn't loosened, it hasn't fallen, it's not in the way. It's not part of anything anymore. Maybe it held something once, maybe not. It doesn't matter now, it's just there. A tiny point of metal in a wall full of patterns. The light catches it at an angle near sunset, and then it disappears again. The shovel leaning against the shed. The blade is dull, the handle is rough. One side is darker than the other, worn from use, but it hasn't been used lately. It stands at an angle, propped near the corner of the shed, where the overhang keeps off most of the rain. The ground beneath is bare. The grass doesn't grow right next to the wall. It's not in anyone's way, not buried, not hung up, just leaned. If the wind blew harder, it might fall, but it never does. The wood creaks slightly in the heat. That's the only sound that it makes. The patch of fence with no wire. The posts are evenly spaced. The rest of the fence holds wire between them. But here, there's a gap. No damage, no repair, just space. The posts are still strong, still level. Nothing passes through. Nothing is supposed to. It doesn't need wire. It just never got any, or maybe it used to. It doesn't matter now. The grass grows the same on both sides. The wind moves through just a little easier. From far away, no one would notice. Up close, there's nothing to say. The fence continues past it, unchanged. The top of the light switch plate. There's a line of dust where the wall and the plastic meet. It isn't wiped often. The switch below still moves, not loose, not stiff, just the usual click, though it rarely needs to. The top edge stays dry, just a little warm from the room. The seal at the bottom of the door. It brushes the floor softly, the sound too dull to register. It catches fine dust that stays until someone sweeps, which doesn't happen often. Light never makes it through, not even at the corners. It always presses down, just enough to keep the air from shifting. The wall behind the fridge. The fridge doesn't sit flush. There's always a gap. Behind it, the wall stays a little darker, a little quieter. The paint hasn't faded. The air doesn't move much. There's an outlet back there, or maybe not. The floor ends early, just wall, baseboard, and a bit of space. No one sees it, but it's still part of the kitchen. The fridge hums and clicks, but never backwards. Nothing else enters. Sometimes light hits it from the side. Dust doesn't always fall evenly, but it stays. It's not dirty. It's not clean. It's just behind. Always has been. Always will be. If the fridge moved, the space would look exactly like this again within a week, maybe less. It isn't forgotten. It's just never part of anything. That piece of wall could be any color at all. It would make no difference. The spot where the paint rolled thin. It's under the window, left of the sill, just above the outlet. A little lighter, a little rougher. The roller passed, but only once. The second coat didn't reach this far. Maybe the light was bad that day. Maybe no one checked. It isn't peeling. It isn't chipped. Just thin. From most angles, it looks like everything else, but it's not. The wall holds it anyway. A color with less weight. Dust sticks a little easier here. It doesn't stain. It doesn't shine. It's not where anything gets leaned. It just stays. Almost even, but not quite. Paint never covers the same weight twice. But no one notices unless they're looking too hard. No one looks too hard here. The window's higher. The light moves past it. This patch is part of the room, but only barely. It exists quietly, and that's enough. The panel under the sink. It's flat, particle board maybe, with no grain. Painted the same color as the cabinet, but not as smooth. It hides the plumbing, not perfectly. There's a small gap on the left side, just wide enough to see into if the door is open, but the door is usually closed. The panel doesn't bow, it doesn't warp, it stays. A screw is visible on one corner, though it never needed to be touched. The bottom edge meets the floor unevenly, just slightly. No one notices. It doesn't hold anything. It doesn't open. It was never meant to. It's part of the cabinet in the way of silence is part of a room. Always there, but not involved. If it were removed, nothing would fall apart, nothing would change, but no one removes it. That's not what it's for. The side of the dryer no one sees. It's the wall-facing side. The panel is smooth metal, slightly dusted, never cleaned. The color is duller than the front. There's no handle, no door, no labels, just one continuous surface, square and still. Sometimes the drum rattles faintly, but this side doesn't move. It feels warmer than the air around it, not by much, not enough to notice unless you're already back there, and no one is. The wall behind it is close, but not touching. The dryer vents out the back, but the connection can't be seen from here. It hums, it stops, then it hums again. The side panel stays the same. It doesn't gather anything but a thin, even layer of air. If a hand touched it, the dust might smudge, but it won't be touched. There's no reason to be back here. That is the whole point. The mulch at the base of the signpost. Wood chips, faded, uneven, some still sharp, some soft from rain. There's a circle cleared out around the metal base where nothing grows, not dirt, not rock, just space. Leaves gather there sometimes, but they don't stay. The wind moves everything eventually. The mulch holds the shape it was poured into, even though no one refreshes it. Not anymore. It used to be brighter. Now it's just part of the sidewalk border. The sign above doesn't matter. The ground doesn't change. The wood stays exactly where it falls. And that's all I have for tonight. The stories have come to an end, so I'll be on my way. Sleep well, and maybe we'll meet again tomorrow.